The smell of the Intermountain West has always been distinctive for me. This peculiar elixir of geosmic petrichor and terpenoid sagebrush sings out in my mind. It's as distinctive a smell as the antiseptic ozone before a thunderstorm, or the phantasmagoric whiff of Galax in the southern Appalachians. Underneath improbably columnar tulip poplars, the ethereal piping of a hermit thrush reverberates through the cove. Exquisite brook trout wait for me in the cataracts below. Focus! Merely the thought of the East is enough to bog me down with that humidity. This is supposed to be a story about the American West. Focus! Where the big trees on the steep canyon walls are but black sticks of dead coal, and swaths of sagebrush have been reduced to gnarled little burnt fists angry at the sky. Focus! Where wet clothes dry out quickly. There are clumps of excited willow whips springing green here and there. The lucky cottonwoods at the river's edge somehow the fire spared. Absolutely incongruous pelicans floating through the wave trains. Their giant yellow beaks as out of place here between these canyon walls at 8,000 feet as the smell of Galax would be. This river never had trout in it until humans put them here in the late 1800s, and it's no surprise when you look closely on a map. The headwaters are guarded on three sides by a nearly complete circle of mountains that, though they open to the north, form the Continental Divide. And the larger watershed flows to the ocean through some similarly situated trout-negative habitat. The river is protected from connections with migrants, I guess, is the bottom line. And I suppose the tops of these mountains never broke off and captured the headwaters of native fish-containing creeks and alpine lakes on the other side. But today, the river is busy with wild brown trout that are eager to eat a streamer in high water. We saw a few big stoneflies and even fished a dry fly for a few minutes, but we were a little early for all that. The river cuts through ancient Precambrian rocks, metamorphic gneiss invaded by granitic intrusions. But now that basement rock is on the come-up clock. 1 billion years ago it flowed as liquid magma, then it got rock hard, tectonically uplifted and erosionally revealed. An ancient geologic flasher, finally arrested on decent exposure charges.
You're gonna make a video from this, and I'm gonna make a video from this, and they're gonna be wildly different. Wildly different.
Giant rock battlements guard the river channel as we exit the high gradient canyon and cruise out onto the plains. A house that appears to have been built in the 1950s sits on a table of naked bedrock overlooking the river, with bulbous cliffs rising around it hundreds of feet in the air. It looks peculiar, but also distinctive, like I've seen it before. Maybe in a David Lynch movie I made up out of whole cloth, about a colony of cowboys from the 1950s that settle a distant planet, or at least somewhere as unearthly as this part of Wyoming. Seemingly at random in this movie, entire families disappear, and the only ceremony in their honor is the neighbors taking turns selecting objects from the abandoned homestead in a morose game of white elephant. They carry lamps and chrome toasters away. They strap headboards and chairs to wagons, and then they go about their business like nothing happened. Handsome Trevor stands angular, tall, and slim, silhouetted against the low-setting sun, and takes a long drag on his cigarette before crushing it out between his thumb and forefinger, pushing the front of his cowboy hat up to look over the empty house one last time, before turning his horse and riding off into the dust behind the wagons. While all the spoken lines in the movie are syntactically correct and performed with clear emotional intent, they are famously semantically nonsensical. At the beginning of the movie, Trevor utters the now famous line, "Beware, colorless green ideas sleep furiously." The movie was called Laramide Forces. Trevor is the main character, and, spoiler alert, he disappears at the end of the movie. In the final scene, he is filled with liquid light and levitates 10 feet above the bedrock, rigid, turgid, oozing with light. He experiences one pure moment of the ecstatic sublime that transmogrifies into an acute awareness of the foundational co-equal and co-eternal first principles: order and chaos, being and nothingness. And his last thought is, can order arise on the winds of stochasticity that blow across these metaphysically Spartan plains? Can order arise from the happenstance of juxtaposition? You know, like the face of a Christ figure burned into a tortilla.
Larry, get your gloves on!